Welcome everybody. Today I'm going to be practicing and guiding you through a back bend sequence. So you can start in a child's pose. Knees can be just over hip distance apart, or if you prefer a narrow knee child's pose, whatever you're drawn to today. Bring your hips towards your heels. Arms can come out long in front of you. And just relax your forehead onto the mat. Take a few breaths here to start to slow your exhales. Really lengthen and draw energy in on your inhales. And maybe set an intention for this practice. Considering why we come back to our practice, come back to the mat, can help us when we're feeling an energy low throughout the practice. Feel the breath expand your back body. Really drop into this space where you are right now in this moment. On your next inhale, bring your hands together and draw your hands up over your back. You can press your body forward and then drop your arms back down, moving into a puppy dog pose. So feeling a stretch through the shoulders here. Release the head and neck. And lift the sit bones nice and high. If it feels better to bring the knees in closer, you might get a bit more of a stretch that way. And breathe here. Release all of your air fully. And then inhale, draw your hands underneath your shoulders and knees underneath your hips, coming into a tabletop. We'll start with some intuitive movement here. So whatever your body is asking for today, I really like rocking this hip side to side, going in circles, maybe even focusing just on the hips or the upper back, and feeling what it's like to move through the vertebrae. Take a few breaths to play with wrist movements, so maybe lift your hands off the mat, just coming onto fingers. If you'd like to even flip your palms in any direction and play with putting a little bit of pressure in different ways. The intention here is to strengthen and stretch the wrists, but you shouldn't feel any sharp pain. So if you do, just back off with the pressure. Come back to a neutral spine. We'll move through some cat-cow. So inhale, you'll drop your belly, lift your gaze, lift your hips. And then exhale slowly, one vertebrae at a time. Puff your upper back so that you come into a cat. Inhale, hips rise, gaze rises, shoulders drop back, collarbones broad. And exhale, press the air out as you round your spine. A couple of those at your own pace. One more. how much intention you can bring to the movement and reconnect with your breath if you've lost it. Moving back to a neutral spine, we're going to do a couple bird dogs. So inhale, lift your right arm up in front of you, and then your left leg can lift back behind you. Try and keep your shoulders and your hips even here, and lengthen out through the fingertips and through the feet. Working to engage the lower abdomen, Mula Bandha here. That'll help protect us in our back bends. And then rise a little bit more than you normally would in a bird dog. And just feel what that feels like before crunching everything in. Inhale, lengthen out long, rise a little bit. And then exhale, draw the energy in together. One more of those on this side. Press and lift. And exhale, knee and elbow come into midline, and then place your hand and knee onto the mat. Inhale your left arm up, right foot back. First find length and evenness in the shoulders and hips, strong back body and a strong core. Find your breath, find ease in this posture. Lengthen and then rise before crunching everything in. Squeeze, draw the energy out, extend long, and then draw it in. Last one. Lift, lengthen, exhale, bring it in. Squeeze, hold, and then place the hand back down. Come to sit onto your heels. Take a breath and then rise up. We're going to move into a gentle variation of camel. So inhale, raise your arms up, and don't worry so much about drawing back too much. Just think about lifting up, containing your ribs, and then bringing the arms back in space. If it feels good to do some circles, you can do that, but continually think about lengthening up through the spine. You don't need to bend too far back. If it feels good, you can place your hands on your hips, press your hips forward to lean back a little bit more. But find some movement here that feels good for you. Just opening the front body, strengthening the back body, and then come back to sitting on your knees. We'll tuck our toes under and then come to stand at the top of your mat. Move through a Surya Namaskara A. On your inhale, raise your arms up. Find a little bit of a back bend, containing those ribs. And then exhale, fold over strong legs. Inhale, lengthen your spine, keeping your neck in line. And then exhale, plant your hands on the mat. Step back and find strength in a plank position. Move a little bit side to side or back and forth here. And again, engage that core. Notice if your glutes are rising way up or your hips are sagging down, and find a nice stable position here. Do even a couple shoulder push-ups here and notice what your upper back is doing. And then when you're ready, lower down to the mat. You can drop your knees first if you'd like. Coming all the way down. Slide your arms forward and we'll move into a Sphinx pose. So here you're actively pressing your legs and your pelvis into the ground. Your chest rises, heart lifting forward and up. The arms can press into the mat and draw your shoulders back. Watch that you're not cranking your neck. So just a soft gaze, a couple feet in front of you. And then play with just lifting your hands off the mat. See how much strength you can bring to that back body. Bring your hands back beside you, and then press back into a downward facing dog. Take a few breaths here in your first down dog to pedal the legs, taking some movement that your body is asking for, and then find some stillness. So index finger and thumb are rooted in the mat. Eyes of the elbows spiral in and up to bring space between your shoulder blades. And extend through your spine, reaching up through your sit bones, and then finding length in the legs, maybe a soft bend in the knees, to draw the heels towards the mat. Engage your lower abdomen here and stay for another couple breaths in this down dog. Release any tension that's not necessary in the neck or the face. On your next inhale, step your feet between your hands and then lower your hips down, coming into Catana, fierce pose. So arms will rise up, hands over your heart. A little tuck of the tailbone here so it draws towards the ground, and just avoiding that banana back. So strong back, strong core. Bending nice and low into the knees. And breathe deep. Welcome those shakes. Just feel a sense of gratitude for the sensation, the burning in this posture. Draw your hands to heart center, and then take your left elbow over your right knee, coming into a Utkatasana twist. Your gaze can come up above your right shoulder. If it feels good to stay with hands at heart center, that's a great option. If you'd like to spread your arms, you can drop the left hand down, the right arm can rise up. Keep those hips low. Notice if your knee has shifted one in front of the other, and just bring them back in line with each other. One more breath here. Hands come back to center. Maybe lift up for a moment. If you really need to, you can stand up or hold. And then exhale, twist right elbow over left knee. Find the twist in the upper back here. And then take the option you did on the other side to either stay or spread those arms wide. Breathing nice and deep into the twist. One more breath. Hands draw back to center, and then exhale, fold over your legs, maybe spread them hip distance apart. Give them a shake. And then option to stay with your hands planted on the mat, your knees bent, or wherever they need to be. Or you can grab onto opposite elbows and just kind of ragdoll here. Just releasing the spine and the head. If you do have hyperextension in your knees, please just take a soft bend. Sit bones rising to the sky. Feet are rooted to keep you stable in this forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Look forward. Exhale, fold. And on your inhale, rise all the way back up. Gaze towards the fingertips. Hands come through heart center. Heel toe your feet back together. Standing in Samastitihi, mountain pose. On your inhale, bend into your knees, raise your arms up for Utkatasana just for a moment. And then exhale, fold over your legs, plant the hands on shins or the ground. Lengthen your spine on your inhale. And then exhale, plant your hands, step or jump your feet back, and then lower down. Either coming through a Sphinx or a low up dog, or if your back is ready for it, you can move into an upward facing dog. Hold here for a moment. Strengthen the arms, draw the shoulders down, and then tuck the toes and press back into a downward facing dog. On your inhale, bring your right foot forward between your hands. We're not going to do a traditional Surya B. You're going to keep the toes planted instead of warrior one and just rise up to a high lunge. Try and square and even your hips here so they're in line. Tuck under a little bit with your pelvis and then work to straighten that back left leg. The arms can rise up above you and either staying here, or if it feels good and you want to lift, rise and drop back for a little bit of a back bend. If that feels good, then take that option. Either option, you're coming back to your breath, using it to stay connected within your body. One more breath, and then exhale, plant your hands on the mat, step the right foot back, lower down through your chaturanga, inhale, rise up, whatever variation you're feeling today, and then tuck the toes, press back for downward facing dog. Inhale, bring your knee nice and high, plant it in between your hands, coming into a high lunge on the other side. So dropping that front knee at a 90-degree angle, tuck of the pelvis, and then straighten that back leg. You're going to raise your arms up. Another option is to have them in cactus or the back bend. If you're doing a back bend, notice the tendency for the front ribs to flare and see how much you can tuck them under as you draw the energy up and back. Hold for another breath. I'm with you. And exhale, bring the hands down onto the mat, step back, either lower the knees down or lower nice and slow, low to high to low plank. Inhale, lift through, open your heart, shoulders drop back, and then tuck the toes and press back into a downward facing dog. Staying here for 3 breaths. See how much you can keep that lower abdomen, the mula bandha, pelvic floor lifted and engaged. Lifting and lengthening through the spine. And then find ease where you don't need to grip. Last breath here. On your inhale, bring your right foot forward between your hands. Angle your back toes out out at a 90-degree angle, and then rise all the way back up, turning the right toes in. So they're both just angled in slightly. Inhale your arms up to a T, and then clasp your hands behind your back, moving into a wide-legged forward fold. So strength in those legs. Again, hyperextension, you just soft bend those knees. Core here is engaged to help hold you up and steady you. And fold a little bit deeper into this fold, lifting your arms above your head towards the floor behind you. Be here for a few breaths. If it gets to be too much, you can take a little bit of a reprieve and just bend into one leg and then the other. Or if it feels good to stay in that stillness, then honor that. One more breath. Strong core. You can release the hands to your hips. We'll rise halfway up and hold. 3, 2, 1, and then rise all the way back up. Turn the right toes towards the front of the mat, and then step up. Let's take a moment in Tadasana. Connect with the stability, that grounded sense of a mountain. On your inhale, raise your arms up, and then exhale, fold over your legs. Bring your left foot back, so right foot is staying forward, and come into a low lunge. Inhale, rise up. And then exhale, either keep the arms above you. Again, you can come into that little back bend, or you can bring your hands to your hips. We're not here for long. On your next inhale, draw the left knee up. You can fold the mat under your knee if it's too much. And then we'll bring the left arm behind for a quad stretch. So play with the sensation here. I like to draw the leg kind of in and back and feel how that changes the sensation along my quad. Plant your left hand on the mat and we'll do the quad stretch, just a gentle twist on the other side. So this time your right arm draws back and holds on to that left foot. Exhale, release, sink the hips back, straighten the front leg, coming into a half splits. So the weight is coming back on that left leg and foot. Hips here should work towards even and square. And then playing with pointing the toe, flexing and releasing it back. If you want to take full splits, you can always pause the video and do that, but that's not quite the intention of today's video, so we're going to keep flowing. On your inhale, come forward, plant your hands, step into a plank, and then right away lift that left leg forward, moving into a low lunge on the other side. So draw the arms up, either staying here, cactus, back bend, or just hands on the hips and connecting with your breath. If you have knee pain, I suggest to roll the mat. On your inhale, lift your right back foot up and bring your right arm to grab that leg. This left arm can stabilize just by being on this front leg or down on the mat, whatever feels comfortable. You're the true teacher. And again, just play with that intuitive motion and see what your body's asking for. You don't have to do what I'm doing here. I do think it's nice to play with the sensation, draw the leg forward and back, but that just might not feel good for you. So listen to what your body's asking for. Keep the leg high, drop the right foot down, or right hand down, sorry, and then bring the left arm back, just coming into a gentle quad stretch twist here. Gaze can be over the left shoulder, really sinking into that front left leg. And finding your breath. For one more. Exhale, release the leg down, plant both your hands, and then sink back. So the weight's this time on your right shin and foot. And then this left hip draws back in space so that your hips are even, and this front leg lengthens straight, towards straight. You can always have a bend in that knee. And I like to play with pointing and flexing the toe forward and back. Just changes the sensation a little bit. And then take a few breaths in stillness. As you sit in the posture, you might notice that you have a little bit more room to wiggle the foot forward. One more breath here. And then inhale, come forward, lift onto that front right back foot, and then press back into a plank. You can press right back into a downward facing dog. We'll just take a couple breaths here. The option is either stillness, or if you'd like to lift the right leg, maybe do a few circles of the hip, and then plant that foot down, lifting the left leg, circling the leg and hip, just a few times each side, and then we'll all meet back in a downward facing dog. Nice and slow, we're gonna walk up between our hands. If you want to get a little fancy, you could even do little crisscrosses with your feet as you slowly come to stand between your hands. Lift to lengthen your spine, and then exhale, fold over your legs. On your inhale, soft bend in the knees, we rise all the way up, gaze towards the fingertips, and exhale, hands by our sides. Plant your weight heavy into your left foot and raise your right foot off the ground. We'll do another little quad stretch here, so grab onto your foot behind your body with your hands. And if dancer's pose is in your practice or not, and you want to just give it a try, you're going to bring your left hand to your left standing leg. Your right hand will hold your right foot, and then you can start to lean forward, pressing the leg into your arm and using your arm to traction and pull back on your foot. Once you've found stability, you can raise the left arm forward
and up a little bit, and press a little bit more. You'll start to feel the back bend here. Try and keep the hips even. You don't need to just absolutely press into the posture. Just find where it feels like work, but there's still a steady, comfortable posture. One more breath. Press a little bit more. Find that full expression today. And then release the foot. Shake the legs out. Plant the right foot down in the mat. And then lift your left leg up, grabbing on with both hands for a moment. Find that stability. And then right hand to right hip, grabbing onto the left foot with the left hand. You'll lean forward and start to move nice and slowly into your dancer's pose. Whatever it looks like for you today, be gentle on yourself. One side might be a lot harder, easier than the other. That's okay. Drishti, your gazing point, is very useful in balanced postures, so try and avoid looking around. Set your gaze on one point and stick with it. One more breath. Full expression. And exhale, slowly release. Shake the legs out. And find Samasthiti once more. Take a breath. And then inhale, raise your arms up above your head. Exhale, fold over your legs. Inhale, halfway lift. Spine long. And then plant your hands. Walk, step, or jump to low push up. And then inhale, rise up. Tuck the toes. Exhale, press back to downward facing dog. One more breath here. And then inhale, press back to plank, and then lower your body all the way down to the mat. Maybe take an opportunity to go nice and slow, or try and do a push-up or two, even if it's just from your knees being down. And then we'll all meet back down on the mat, bringing either cheek to the mat. You bring your hands back behind you. We're moving into Dandasana Locust Pose. So on your inhale, raise just your shoulders and your head up off the mat. Neck is in line. Again, not looking forward and cranking the neck. And breathe here. On your next inhale, rise a little higher and lift your hands off the mat. On your next inhale, see if you can lift your legs. Keep in mind that everything I'm saying is just a suggestion, so find where works for you. If this is too much, you can just do your upper body. But push yourself with love. Lift a little bit higher, full expression, and then exhale. You can bring your opposite cheek to the mat. Maybe shake your hips out. Breathe deep. Maybe bring a smile to your face, or close your eyes. Inhale, lift the chest back up, looking again just in front of you. Either same option as last time in any of the expressions or the full expression, or this time you can clasp your hands behind your back, really opening up through the chest and lifting the legs back behind you. There's a lot of variations here. We'll stay here for quite a while, so if you want to play with maybe like a Superman, bring the arms forward and back, you can kind of do a swimming position. You could try moving into a bow if you feel open enough for that, or just staying here. Or if you just really don't want to do that and you're super mad at me right now for making you hold it this long, you can just come down to the mat. See if you can hold for 3, 2, 1, and then release. Bring your head down to the mat, shake the hips out, feel your heartbeat. Feel gratitude for those systems in our bodies, our breath, our heart that work without us asking them to. On your next inhale, before we fall asleep here, bring your hands in front, next to your nipple line. Press back onto your heels, and then tuck your toes, pressing back into a downward facing dog. If you know how to do a jump through, you can do that. Otherwise, you can just walk your feet in between your hands, squat down, and then bring your legs out in front of you. First, finding Dandasana, staff pose. So press into the hands, lift through the chest, opening the heart here. Strong core, strong legs. Spine is nice and lifted. Head is rising up towards the sky. And then exhale, fold over your legs. Wherever you find your hand, grab your shins, peace fingers around big toes, grab around your legs, whatever feels good today. And then just fold into that, but don't release into this. So keep the strength in the legs, keep the strength in the low belly, and notice if you have a tendency to round your back. So try and extend long. If that means not coming quite as far with your hands, that's great. Just find this extension and this fold with strength. One more breath here. On your inhale, we'll rise up and then right away lift those legs. We're moving into Savasana. So core is engaged here. Your legs are lifted high enough that you're not just using your hip flexors and your quads to hold you up. So engagement in the core. Knees can be bent here. Any variation of the arms, you want to bring them to heart center or by your shoulders in front of you. And breathe. Gaze towards your toes. Collarbones are broad. On your next exhale, lower almost all the way down, coming into a low boat. Hold, squeeze, relax your jaw and your face if you're clenching. And then inhale, rise back up. Plant your hands, cross your legs, lean forward and lift, just with the intention of hips and feet coming off the ground. They don't have to. And then come back to sit on your bum, lean back. We're in Tadasana again. You got this. You are strong. Exhale, lower, find low boat if you'd like. Just your shoulders are staying off the mat. Keep the breath. And then inhale, rise back up. Lift, lift, lift. And then plant the hands, jump forward, and then lower down. Just taking a moment to rest. You can bring your hands in front of you. Rest your forehead onto your hands and breathe. Plant your hands by your sides once more, and then press back. Now that we're nice and warmed up, we're going to move into our second camel a lot later in the practice here, so we should be able to go deeper. If you're not, that's okay. So knees are stacked underneath the hips, hip distance apart. Remember, you're pressing forward with your hips, and then the energy is rising up to come back. We'll start with just the arms lifting above our heads, and then play with some motion here with the arms. If it feels good and safe, you can bring maybe one hand and then the other down to your heels, and then press forward and lift through. If it feels safe for your neck to drop it back, you can release. Just avoid looking around here. So I'm pulling on my heels. If I weren't gripping onto them, I might just spring forwards. There's a lot of engagement in my back here. Even my core is engaged. One more breath, or come out whenever you need. And then exhale, release, and just come into a child's pose. Noticing what that brings up for you. Just accepting it, choosing to move from a place of love. All right, we'll rise up, and then you can, as gracefully as you can, just come to lay on your back. We're gonna move into a couple bridges. So your legs are bent, heels are just enough away that you can graze them with your fingertips, and then pressing your arms into the mat, you're gonna lift your hips high. Arms can stay down on the mat, or clasp behind your back, pressing nice and high, feeling the hamstrings engage. See if you can release your glutes just a little bit. And notice if your knees are going way out to the side. So draw them in so that they're in line, but if you were holding a yoga block between your legs, it wouldn't fall. Make sure there's some space in the neck here, you're not collapsing. And breathe. When you're ready, you can slowly lower down. Try to avoid lifting the knees right away. We're going to do a couple more of those. So either same variation. I'm going to do one more of those to make sure my back's really nice and warmed up. But if you feel safe and you're ready for it, you could press all the way into a wheel. I'm going to do that on the next round. We're doing one more after this. But right now we're here. We're in this one with whatever variation you chose, so honor that. All right, you can come down and then either take this one off if that's what your body wants. We've done a lot already, back bending, so listen to that. If you'd like to come into a wheel with me for this final one, you're gonna plant your hands with your fingers pointing towards you. Press into your feet and your hands just so you come to the top of your head, and then if you feel ready to do so, press all the way up.
come down whenever your body is asking for it. Maybe see if you can stay one breath longer than you'd like, and then slowly release down to the mat, one vertebrae at a time, bending into your arms. For those still with me, keep breathing nice and deep. And then exhale. Everyone release. This time you can, oh so sweetly, bring your knees into your chest. Give yourself a hug. And maybe rock gently side to side, just massaging the spine. Bring your feet back to the mat. And then draw your right knee in towards your chest, and then turn it out to the side. So your outer edge of your right ankle meets the top of the left knee, moving into reclined figure 4. So if this feels like enough, you can stay here. If you're looking for a little bit more in that hip, you can draw the left leg up off the mat, maybe even interlace the hands behind the left thigh. And then I like to use my right elbow to press into that right knee and open it up a little more. Staying here is a great option. Another one could be to straighten that left leg and grab onto the toe. And then gently encourage the right knee open a little bit more. Wherever you find yourself, breathe into the posture. Stay connected. One more breath. And exhale, release the leg back down. Maybe straighten the legs out, shake them out, whatever feels good. And then bring the right foot to place on the mat. Left leg can bend and cross over, so outer edge of the left ankle meets the right knee. Again, finding your posture, so maybe it's here and that's enough. Maybe you'll draw the right knee in towards you, any amount. And maybe you'll bring your leg to straight. Being patient with yourself if one side is more tight than the other. It's okay. We all have it. Awareness does not have to come with judgment. When I first started practicing yoga, and I do a lot of back bends, I would feel really sore the day after, or even the day after that. So notice if you've gone a little bit too far from this practice, and next time just don't go quite as deep into the postures. It's okay to back off a little bit. Just take the ego aside. Okay, we'll come down, shake the legs out. Draw your legs in so that your feet come together, and then place them down on the mat, knees splaying out to the side. So we're in Supta Baddha here, bound angle pose. I like to shake my hips out. If it feels good, you can bring your hands underneath your bottom, just for some support. One more breath here. And then you can assist your knees to draw them up Plant your feet out wide, even wider than your mat, and then just let your knees fall in towards each other. Again, option to give them a little shake or just find some stillness. One more breath. Inhale, bring your knees back up. Draw them up so that they're at a 90-degree angle, and then cross the right leg over the left for eagle legs. You'll shift your hips over to the left and then drop your knees over to the right side. Let your legs find the mat and then open your body up, coming into a full spinal twist, letting your left shoulder relax towards the mat, but don't press too hard. You don't want to push into this twist, you just want to release into the twist. And then for the full variation, you can drop your gaze over the left shoulder. On your inhale, press up, and then uncross your legs, this time crossing left over top of right, any amount, and then draw the hips over to the right, knees fall over to the left. Once you have the stability of the ground there, then open your right shoulder towards the right side, gaze coming over to the right. Might feel good to close your eyes here. Reconnect with your breath. On your inhale, we'll rise back up, release the legs, give yourself one more big hug. Feel some gratitude for taking the time out of your day to practice. Work some self-love. And then from here, if you'd like to do an inversion, please feel free to do that. You could do shoulder stand or headstand if that's in your practice and you're called to it. Otherwise, we're going to just move into a happy baby. So draw your knees out to the side, and grab onto the bottom of your feet, and then just kind of press and rock and roll your hips open. Really embodying how a baby might feel. So flexible, those babies. Some lightness, some joy. Maybe even cultivating a little curiosity here. And when you're ready at your own pace, you can extend your legs long, feet can splay out to the side, tuck your shoulders under, and just release your arms. If you have hair done up and you want to undo it, just totally relax into your Savasana. So corpse pose, this is final resting pose. And it's really worth staying here for a few minutes if you have the time. Just close your eyes, let your nervous system come back to baseline, and really absorb the benefits of all the work you just did. Thank you guys so much for joining. Namaste. See you next time.